Hello everyone. Happy Navaratri, happy Dashra and happy Vijayadashmi. I hope that you all had a fun season and there is more to come today. My name is Savita and today I'm going to share with you all what I know about Goddess Meenakshi and her marriage. So as we all know, Goddess Meenakshi is a form of Goddess Parvati, and Goddess Meenakshi resides in a southern Indian city called Madurai. In Madurai, Goddess Meenakshi has a huge temple. So Goddess Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai is the physical, spiritual, social, cultural, economic center of Madurai. So it's a huge temple. And many of you might have gone to that temple, but for those of you who haven't been there, that temple is about 14 acres. That's about 650,000 square feet. That's how big that temple is. It has 14 gopurams. Gopurams are entryways into the temple. It has 14 gopurams and it has several halls within that temple. And there is a particular hall called as Airam Kal Mandapam, which is a 1,000-pillared hall. And the tank within this temple is very special. It's called as Pottramarai Kulam, which is the golden lotus pond. And if you look at this temple, it's an architectural marvel. Many people come all over the world to come and look at this. The gopurams are all richly decorated with sculptures. The inside ceiling and everything, wherever you go, there are sculptures. And there are about 33,000 sculptures in that temple. So you can very easily spend about 3 hours just within Meenakshi temple. And Meenakshi is not just the goddess that resides there. For the people who live in Madurai, she's part of their family. So that's the Meenakshi that we are going to talk about. If you were hearing this and you heard about the temple and what I described, it's possible you would go, wow, what a big temple, I want to go see. But if you were like me, you'd be wondering, God is everywhere. God is omnipresent. Why would somebody take so much pains to go build a temple? Why would we call that Goddess Meenakshi resides there? She must be everywhere. Why is it she's only in Madurai, right? So if that's the question that's popping in your mind, air is everywhere. None of us will contest that, right? But when we are feeling warm or we want to cool down, we need a fan or an air conditioner so that we can cool down. The fan or air conditioner did not create air. All it did is it circulated and created an airflow and turned it towards you so you can benefit from it. And that's what temples do. Temples allow us to tap into that divine. While that divine is everywhere, divine is omnipresent, the temples allow us to tap into that particular divine. In fact, there is a saying in Tamil, Koyil illa ooril kudiyirukka vendam. If there is no temple in that particular place, you shouldn't even live there. That is how important those temples are. Right? So we are all, today, all of us are so used to our smartphones. These smartphones are extremely capable. They can do many things. But for the smartphone to work, you need to charge it. And if you want to charge it, it has to have an electrical outlet and there has to be a charger. Only then it can take the charge. So while we have all these temples, the stories, the forms of gods and the legends around it is that charger. The temple is the electrical outlet. These are all the chargers. That's how we are able to consume, and it allows us to connect into that divine or tap into that divine. Why should we tap into that divine? What is the benefit for me for tapping into that divine? Right? If you look at our Sanatana Dharma's focus, while we really celebrate bhakti, we say bhakti is very important, but God is simply a tool, an instrument, a means to an end. That's why we call bhakti as bhakti margam. Margam means path. So it is a bhakti margam. So a road always has to get to some destination. So what is that destination that it is leading us to? The destination that it is leading us to is called as self-realization. What does that self-realization mean, or what we call as enlightenment What does that mean? What it says is to recognize that divine within our heart is the goal. That is why we all worship God, to recognize that divine. And if you see, it's not easy for us to just develop a relationship. First, we'll go to a temple, we'll start establishing a connection with that divine. We'll have to bow down mechanically, we'll follow all the religious procedures. You're not supposed to wear your shoes, you're supposed to be quiet in the temple, you can't shout. Those things we will follow. But after that, when we see every single God form that you have seen, majority of them are human-like, right? That ultimate reality doesn't have a form, but they have given a human form. They have provided us with stories and attributes and characteristics that are there. So now when we connect to this divine, what happens? You take a step back and think about whatever we have said about God. God will help everyone. God helps those who can't help themselves. God does not judge anybody. God is always kind. You have nowhere to go, you can go to God. That's what divinity is all about, right? So these are all the characteristics. And many of us have said, tell me your friends and I will tell you. Who you associate with is extremely important because we start to become like them. So when we go to the temple and we start looking at this God, starting to see the divinity in that God, slowly we develop a love connection towards that God. And then that connection develops strongly and it becomes devotion. Then we become great fans of this God. Bhakti is nothing but extreme love towards God. And all of us when we were young must have had a fangirl moment or a fanboy moment. All of you should have seen. When I was young, there was an actress called Nadia. And all of us would wear Nadia bangles, Nadia dresses, Nadia. Because everybody likes Nadia, you all dress like Nadia. That's the same concept that is employed in devotion also. When we hear more about this God, when we hear all about it, then we start to emulate that God. We start to emulate those characteristics. And then what happens is we become full of love. And when we become full of love, we are a little bit selfless, right? So that is the end goal of anything that we do, is to recognize that divine within us. And that's why in Bhaja Govindam, Adi Shankaracharya says, Sendriya Manasa Niyama Devam Drishyasi Nija Hridayastam Devam. Only when we discipline our senses, when we bring our mind under control, then we will be able to see the divinity that's residing in our hearts. So that is the ultimate goal that we are all trying to go to. So when we are full of love, when we are selfless, what is there to benefit? Other people may find it easy. What is it for us? When we are full of love, you yourself contrast, right? A day when you moved by your child, or you had this amazing thing going on with your spouse or with your parents, and how you feel versus you're angry with your co-worker or you're feeling frustrated. Those feelings are different. So at the heart of all of this, why should we find that divinity in us? It helps us to feel these positive emotions, and those positive emotions lead to happiness. And that happiness is not of the temporary kind where something I got it, today I'm happy. It is the happiness that is the perpetual kind. And that's what it's leading to. So everything leads to that happy, fulfilled, contented life that we can lead by tapping into that divinity. So that's why we have all these temples. That's why we have all these stories about God. And if you look at right now, with Navaratri, we are celebrating that primordial force as Devi, the feminine energy. We are celebrating it as a feminine energy. Goddess Meenakshi's story is very relevant. She is a woman who is unstoppable, right? So it is everything that we can emulate. It's very relevant to women who are living today, especially as we are all living in America. And right now it is October, a month before. And there is a woman who's trying to break that glass ceiling. You will find that Goddess Meenakshi has shattered all the glass ceiling. So with that, she gives something for everyone to emulate. And of course, Sundareshwara is no less. To have your wife be too popular and be okay with it is not an easy feat. So he definitely gives everyone something to emulate as well. With that, let's take a look at the story of Goddess Meenakshi. Once there was a wealthy merchant called Dhananjaya. So he's a merchant, therefore normally he travels for business. So he used to live in a place called Manavur, and he traveled on business one particular time. and he was returning back to his home. And at that time, he was a bit delayed. So he was running late, and in order to go to his place, he had to go through a forest. It was called as Kadambavana. And so he had to go through the forest, and the forest was really dense. And because he was running late, he was really not able to find out his way. He was getting stuck. There were lots of trees, and the light was dim. So he was not able to go further. So what he decided is, because it's very difficult to make the way, he decided to stay under a tree and spend the night there. And then as soon as there is some light and he can see where he is going, he would go. So that was the thing. Obviously, you can't move, therefore he stayed under the tree, but that doesn't mean he was happy under the tree in the dense dark forest. Any of us would be scared, right, if you're under the dense. He is an ardent Shiva devotee, so he was sitting under the tree and chanting Shiva's name, because that's the only way to keep courage. Otherwise, I'm very scared. I don't know where I'm going, and who knows how many animals are here. So he was very scared, and he was chanting Shiva's name. As he was doing this, it was growing darker and darker, and it's almost midnight now. And suddenly he hears a lot of commotion, noise, everything. It's as if there are groups of people, horse sound, everything. Now Dhananjaya is a bit worried. Are there robbers here now? And he's a merchant. Obviously, he has lots of good things that robbers might be interested in. So he's a bit worried, and so he's trying to find out what is happening. And as he looks there, he saw a sight that he was stunned by. He saw Indra and all the devas taking a Shivalinga on a procession, and they're all doing puja for this Shivalinga. So Dhananjaya was stunned, Imagine just seeing a puja for Shiva or Durga is an amazing thing. You see devas doing that puja. He was really stunned. So he was standing there. He also partook in that puja. And next day morning, the devas just left. And then next day morning, he went back to his thing. So Dhananjaya happened to be a friend of the king of Pandyas, who's called as Kulasekara Pandyan. So Kulasekara Pandyan is also a great Shiva devotee. So he went to Kulasekara Pandyan and he said, "You won't believe what I saw. In the middle of the forest, there is an amazing Shivalingam that's glowing, and I saw the devas come and do puja." Obviously, that's a great thing. Any Shiva devotee is stunned by that. And Kulasekara Pandyan is constantly thinking about it, and he's thinking how gifted this Dhananjayan must be to come across a sight like this. So then he's thinking of that, and he goes to bed with that thought. In his dream, there is a sage who shows up, and he says, "Clear all that forest and build a temple for me." And that happened to be Shiva. So next day morning, Kulasekara Pandyan gets up. That's it. He's a king. He's been given a commission now. That was God himself, and came and said, "Please build." And he's a devotee of Shiva. He didn't need anything else. Immediately he called all his ministers, said, "Go with Dhananjaya, find the place, let's clear all the Kadambavana, and then let's build a temple there." So that place today is called as Madurai. So they cleared that and built this temple, which is the Meenakshi temple. So this is supposed to have happened somewhere by 6th century or something like that. So that's this temple. And the place is supposed to be sprinkled with nectar by Shiva himself. That's why it's called as the Madura of South India. Maduram means sweet, nectar. So it is called as Madurai. So that's how all this came up. And then as time passed, Kulasekara Pandyan had a son called Malayadwaja Pandyan. So he handed over the kingdom to Malayadwaja Pandyan. And Malayadwaja Pandyan married a woman, a princess called Kanchana Malai. And Malayadwaja Pandyan was a lucky man. He had everything. He had a prosperous kingdom. He had loyal ministers. His subjects really loved him. He had enormous wealth. He had a loving wife. Everything was going great for Malayadwaja Pandyan. Is there really someone who has everything going great for them? Of course not, right? There was one thing that was worrying Malayadwaja Pandyan. It was that he did not have any heir to the throne. So he didn't have a child. So his guru advised him, said, "Go and do Putra Kameshti Yajna." So it is supposed to be something that will give a progeny. So Malayadwaja Pandyan, with the help of all his guru and all the right people, he conducts a Putra Kameshti Yajna. So the Putra Kameshti Yajna is going on. Both Malayadwajan and Kanchana Malai are extremely focused on that, and they are doing it. At a certain point, when the yajna is progressing, Malayadwajan's, he's getting these feelings as if something big is going to happen. Kanchanamala is also feeling the same. And then suddenly there is all these flowers that are pouring from the sky. And out of the sacrificial fire comes a 3-year-old girl who just walks up to Kanchanamala and sits on her lap. Kanchanamala is elated. There's a little bit about Kanchanamala. Kanchanamala in her previous birth used to be Vidyavati. And Vidyavati was very fond of Devi. So she went and asked her father, how can I be connected to Devi? How can I do the pujas? Her father told her many mantras, said you have to do penance, you have to do all this, right? It's possible, yes, everybody will learn the mantras, do the penance, etc. She did do the penance, but she envisioned Devi as a 3-year-old girl. And so every day, her puja for Devi was, she will wake her up, bathe her, braid her hair, keep the flowers. This is the way she did the puja. And that puja, as you can see, mother's love is so selfless, it's so pure. And that's what God always wants from us, a bhakti that is, very selfless. So Devi was really pleased. So Devi showed up and she asked Vidyavati, what is it that you want? Vidyavati said, nothing. I've seen you. What more can I ask? That's it. I don't want anything. But Devi said, no. Whenever I come, I will give some boon. You tell me. She said, then I don't want to ever be away from you. I want to be with you all the time. That's what I want. So then Devi said, I will be born as your daughter. Or I'll take an avatar as your daughter. So that's how Kanchanamala got, the next birth for the Vidyavati was Kanchanamala, and therefore she got this girl. And you can imagine the luck of Kanchanamala to be called as the mother of the universe. That's a great feat. And that was the strength of her penance from last time. So they were very happy. Kanchanamala was happy. Malayadwajan was a little bit hesitant. What was his purpose? He wanted a child for sure, but he wanted a heir to the throne. What he got was a girl. So he was a bit disappointed. But at least he got a child. He was okay with it. Then they looked at the girl closer. She looked abnormal because she had 3 nipples. And that was a very odd thing. She didn't even look like everybody else. Now Malayadwajan is worried. First I asked for a boy, you gave me a girl. And on top of that, you gave me a girl who doesn't look like everybody else and normal. Now how will she get married? Who will marry her if she is like this? So he was worried. And he started to think, did I do something really wrong? Was there something wrong in my devotion or the rituals in the yajna? Did I do something wrong? And so he is feeling very bad. And Malayadwajan is also a Shiva devotee. All the Pandya kings are Shiva devotee. So he is now feeling very bad and he is thinking in his mind, what did I do wrong that this happened? And at that time, he hears a voice from above and says, Malayadwaja, do not worry. You raise this girl just like you would raise a son. Don't worry that it's a girl. Just raise her like a son. And when the time comes and she meets her intended husband, automatically the 3rd breast will disappear. So you don't worry about it. What more does Malayadwajan want? He got a child and Shiva himself said it, everything will be okay. That's it. So he's a devotee. He believes in the God. So God said so, they're fine. So now he had no problem accepting her. So immediately they both accepted that girl. And they named her Tadadagai. Tadadagai in Tamil is Tadai A Thagai. Thagai in Tamil means fitness, suitability, worthiness or excellence. Tada means not stoppable. So her excellence, her greatness, her fitness was something that nobody could stop her. So they called her Tadadagai. Also, she had very beautiful eyes, fish-like eyes. So they call her Angayar Kanni. Kayal, Kanni. Kanni means eyes. Kayal means fish. Means beautiful. So she had eyes that were beautiful like a fish and therefore they called her Angayar Kanni. So now Tadadagai is growing up and Malayadwaja Pandyan did not stop at anything. Whatever techniques were there for warfare, he taught everything. And she is Parvati, right? So there was nothing stopping her from being capable. So she was extremely good. There's no warrior like her. She knows how to ride a horse. She knows how to go on an elephant. She knows how to ride a chariot. Everything that is needed in order for you to excel and run a kingdom, she knew all of that. And at the appropriate age, what Malayatwajan Pandyan did is he handed over the kingdom to her. And therefore, she was coronated as the Queen of Madurai. And at that time, her coronation name was Meenakshi. Meenakshi also means fish-eyed. So it's Angayar Kanni and Meenakshi. Also in Tamil, they call her Meena Achi. The fish is the symbol for the Pandyas, and Achi means rule. So ruled by the Pandyas. You could think of it that way also. So she became the queen. After a while, Malayatwajan passed away. And now she is a young girl, right, of the right age. Typically what happens when a girl becomes to a certain age, next step, go find a groom. So what they will do? Swayamvara. So now Kanchanamalai is looking forward to her daughter's marriage and is thinking, okay, when will my daughter get married? Just like a usual mother. But what did our Meenakshi do? No Swayamvara for our Meenakshi. She went on a Digvijayam. Digvijayam means going in all directions to go challenge other kings and win over that territory. And wherever she went on that. She told Kanchanamalai, whatever will need to happen will happen at the right time. Don't worry. Now, as per what my dad wished, I'm going to be that king, that queen who will win over everything. So she went everywhere to different places. When she comes, nobody could stand against her. So she's winning all the kings. Afterwards, she went straight. She won over even Indra. That's it. Next step, go to Kailasa. So she went to Kailasa, and Nandi and all the Ganas were there. And they didn't know she was Parvati. So they fought with her. They couldn't stand, right? So finally now she's going to go face Shiva himself. So she went there, and as soon as she went and saw Shiva, he's sitting there, hide skin, not anything, just regular Shiva in Kailasa. But as soon as Meenakshi saw, her third breast disappeared. And she also knew all this Asriri and legend and all that. So therefore she immediately knew she was going to marry Shiva. And for the very first time, Meenakshi felt a shyness that is so feminine. And for the first time in her life, she's feeling like a woman. So she knew that. And as soon as she realized, Shiva saw. And Shiva said, I've been waiting for this day to see you. So now I will come and marry you. So you go back to Madurai. In 8 days, I will come and marry you. So then Meenakshi went back, and all the wedding invitations were sent out. She's the queen of Madurai getting married, right? So invitations are all sent out. The entire Madurai is celebrating. They love her so much. She's a just queen. She's also a brave queen. She's different from everything, but she is a really good queen. So they're all getting ready. Everybody is celebrating. And then Shiva comes there. When Shiva comes, he comes as Sundareshwara. So good looking, so handsome, and everybody is in awe of Meenakshi's husband. So then Shiva marries Meenakshi, and it is a wedding that is it's done in a very grand scale. So Shiva and Meenakshi and Sundareshwara get married. And then once the marriage is done, then all the people have come, right? All the sages have come, Brahma has come, Vishnu has come, everybody has come for the wedding. So at that time, we are inviting everybody to come and eat. And Patanjali Munivar was there, Vyagrapadar was there, and they all said, Shiva would like to see you dance. Sundareshwara would like to see you dance. So Sundareshwara actually did a dance for them. They said, before we eat, we want to see you dance. So he did that dance. Today in Meenakshi Amman temple, you can see a Nataraja. And it is also said, it's called as Velli Ambalam. It's one of the 5 places where Shiva has done that dance. So this is the Velli Sabai, silver. It's called as silver. And in this particular temple, Nataraja is in the different pose. Usually he'll have his right leg down and lift the left leg. In here, he has put his left leg down and lifted the right leg. It seems there is also a Pandya king who was a devotee, who was he wanted to learn the dance. And he learned, there are 64 arts, he learned 63 of them. Dance was the only one pending, and he learned that. And then he realized how hard it is to do dancing. And then he was wondering, every day Nataraja is standing like this, won't his leg pain? How will it hurt? So because of his bhakti, actually Shiva shifted his leg. So that happened. Now all the wedding is all done. Everybody is finished eating. So Meenakshi and Sundareshwara are sitting relaxed. Big wedding done. At that time, the head cook who was cooking for the wedding came to Meenakshi. He said, you said Shiva's wedding is a big deal. When Sundareshwara comes, so many people will come. There are 33 crores devas. Everybody has to eat. So I cooked mountains and mountains of food. Not even 10% of that food was eaten. Now all this food is going waste. And the food itself is like a mountain. I don't know where to go and put all this. Tell me what I can do about it. So then Meenakshi went to Sundareshwara. They're newlywed, right? Newlywed will take a little bit of liberty with her husband. Everybody will be nice. And she said, what? You said there will be so many people who would come. Look, my family cooked so much and there is all the food going waste. Why didn't you bring anybody? Why did you come like this? And then Shiva said, okay, fine. If the food is going waste, don't worry. Here is the person, Gundodhara. You take him and feed him. Meenakshi said, I'm telling you, there are mountains of food. What do you think? You're sending me one person? How will he eat? I need more people because there is lots of food. And it was said with a level of pride because she's the queen of Madurai. They are all wealthy and they are prepared for all of this. So a little bit of show off was there. So Shiva smiled and Shiva said, it's okay. Take him. Let him eat. If you feel like there is more food, then I'll bring more people. Don't worry about it. So then this Gundodhara went and it was Shiva's Leela. He turned on the digestive fire in Gundodhara. So then the cook took them, sat on in the right place. Big plantain leaf was served. Now all the delicious food that has been prepared has been served. Everybody only knows when the food was served. As soon as that, it was done. There is nothing there. They served some more, it's done. So every time they only know when they serve. They don't even know when it is. It's just disappearing. It was disappearing so fast that all this mountain of food was gone and he was still hungry. They used up all the provisions that they had. He was still hungry. Now at this rate, they were very scared. He's going to start eating all the human beings around. Meenakshi realized what happened here. She should not have done with the pride. This is why in our culture we say Atiti Devo Bhava. When we call somebody to our house, when we offer them food, we do not offer as, hey, you come to your house, look what I can give you. We believe that they are God and we are humbled that their God came to our house and took the food. So then she ran to Sundareshwara and said, please help. Now this is embarrassing. I'm the queen of Madurai and I'm not able to feed one guy. Now this is not going to work. So please do something. So immediately Sundareshwara called Annapurni and she gave lots and lots of curd rice, which Gundodhara ate, and then his digestive fire came down. As soon as he finished eating the curd rice, he stopped being hungry, but now he became very thirsty. They're giving water, all the water is gone, now he is not able to stop his thirst. So he's like thirsty and he's rolling on the floor saying thirsty, thirsty, thirsty. So then Shiva immediately, obviously, he has the Ganga, so he called for Ganga. And he told Gundodhara, Vai Kai. In Tamil, Vai means keep. Kai means hand. So he said, Vai Kai. So when he kept his hand, the water from Ganga came. And Ganga is also called as Vegavati. She came and then flowed as a river and he was able to drink that. So today, there is a river in Madurai called Vaigai. And the Vaigai Dam is a great spot to go and look at. So that's the story of Meenakshi and Sundareshwara. Obviously, after that, Sundareshwara is also called as Sundara Pandian and he also co-ruled Madurai. That is one thing with our Meenakshi. She is no Avantika of Bahubali to hand over her mission to somebody else. She is the queen and she will remain the queen. So they actually have a power sharing arrangement. So all this what I told you is celebrated every year around April in Madurai as Chittirai Tiruvila. So the coronation of Meenakshi, the wedding, everything happens. So when she is coronated, from then for a certain period she will rule. After that the power will shift back to Sundareshwara. So they both co-rule Madurai. So after that they also had a son called Ugra Pandian, who's assumed to be the incarnation of Lord Muruga. So both Sundareshwara as Sundara Pandian and Meenakshi actually ruled. So Madurai has this great privilege of being ruled by the divine itself. So that's the story. And Chittirai Tiruvula is an amazing festival. When you go there, you will see how Madurai is steeped in tradition, the culture. There is so much that goes, and that 10 days. And there is a very interesting story around it as well. It is said that Vishnu is the brother of Parvati. All of us know that, right? So Vishnu wanted to come to the wedding. Obviously, Parvati's wedding, he's coming with all the jewels, everything. So at that time, he decided, if I take so many jewels and all these great things, there will be robbers in the way. Because he lives in a place called Alagar Malai, which is 20 kilometers from Madurai. So he has to come all the way from there. In those days, it's not easy, right? Now 20 kilometers is fair. It's not like that. So what he decided is, he decided to get dressed like a robber. The idea being, if you yourself look like a robber, no other robber will come and catch you. But what he didn't think about is the cops that are on the way, right? So he had to stop in many places, sometimes do a little bit of extra work so that the cops don't catch him. Finally, he came. When he came halfway, he came all the way till the Vaigai river. Everybody said, Meenakshi and Sundareshwar, marriage is done. That's it. He said, okay, marriage is done. I came to see the wedding, marriage is done. When Meenakshi and Sundareshwara came halfway, he said, here are all your gifts. This is what I brought for your wedding. Bye-bye, I'm going to go back to Alagar Malai. So this is something that is enacted in that Chittirai Tiruvula. So it's called as Kallalagar Aathilerangirathu. This is a very important thing that they all celebrate. So if you look at this Chittirai Tiruvula, there is a message of unity. Right? If you look at our Sanatana Dharma, there are three major sections, right, which is commonly followed. There is Shaivism, there is Vaishnavism, and Shakta, which is about worshipping Devi. If you look at the Chittirai Tiruvula, it brings everybody together. And there is so much more into Chittirai Tiruvula. We can keep talking about it if we talk. So Chittirai Tiruvula also includes all other religions as well. There is a Tulukanatya, there's all these incorporated. It is an amazing way where there is particular king there called Nayakar. So he went ahead and created a unified version that allows for everyone to come together and celebrate that divinity. So that's something that happens in Madurai. So Goddess Meenakshi is also called as Matangi. We call her Raja Matangi. So Raja Matangi is the tantric form of Saraswati. So we call Saraswati as Vakdevi, the one who is for speech, right? So if you look at our Sanatana Dharma, they have actually mapped out everything. So they have also mapped out how that mass of sounds gets articulated into speech. The entire process has been mapped. It's called as Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikari. So there is the total possible thoughts and sounds, the mass of it is all possible. That's called as Para. And then from there is an idea or a perception that comes in our mind. And then that gets translated into a coherent thought. And that coherent thought, we give sound to it, and that becomes speech, right? So that is the whole progression of it. And when we say speech, sweet speech, we all remember parrot. So Goddess Meenakshi holds a parrot. Generally, people in Madurai believe that parrot is there because parrots have a tendency to repeat. So if you go and tell Meenakshi what you want, apparently the parrot will keep reminding her. So very useful one. But the inner meaning in there is that our speech, while it's an amazing thing, right? Our ability to communicate is what differentiates human being. We can say, I need something, I need help, something is hurting, and we can all connect with each other. But at the same time, our speech is the one that also limits our spiritual progression. That's why during Navaratri, we also do Mauna Vratam. Sometimes if we keep quiet, there are lots of things that will just solve by themselves, right? So if we submit our speech to her, then she will make sure that our thoughts are cleansed, and from there our perceptions or preconceived notions are cleansed, and therefore she will take us all the way to the enlightenment. That's why she is holding that parrot. And Rajamatangi is none other than Mantrini. Mantrini is the Prime Minister of Lalitambika. So we also celebrate her as Mantrini. So Meenakshi, we said, Meenakshi. So she has fish-like eyes, right? The fun fact is that fish actually does not have an eyelid. So fish cannot even blink. It'll always keep its eye open. And so Meenakshi always keeps her eye open because she is the epitome of love. She is the epitome of compassion. She's always scanning to see which of her devotees may need help. She doesn't even want to blink in that, she won't see someone. So she keeps her eyes open, is always standing there. Apparently, Devi Meenakshi's one foot is always forward. So she's just scanning constantly to see who needs help. And then the moment you need help, she's already in the ready position. She would come to you to help. So Goddess Meenakshi is the most compassionate, and she is someone who is capable of taking you to enlightenment. And through her story, we can see no matter how different we are, there is nothing that we are not capable of. And there is something that all of us can progress, all of us can do. And she became the queen. At that time, there were no queens, right? It was always a place where only kings were there. Men ruled it. So she broke all of these norms. At the same time, she is a mother, a loving wife. She is a dutiful daughter. And for all of us today, we have to balance our work. We also have to balance our family. Goddess Meenakshi has shown us that women can do all of this. So that is a great example for Goddess Meenakshi. She is the most compassionate. Meenakshim pranatosmi santatamaham karunya varam nidim. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Thank you.